ARK's next major expansion is already entering development, and for the first time, we now know who will be leading the design of its world. After years spent creating some of ARK's most popular and recognizable maps, Necartis is officially joining Studio Wildcard as lead level designer for the upcoming Atlantis DLC. This announcement arrives at an incredibly important moment because on August 26th, Astraeos will receive finally its last major update, completing one of Necartis' largest projects and bringing another chapter of ARK map development to an end. But as one world reaches completion, work on another is already beginning. Atlantis is currently targeting the beginning of 2027, and it will be an official paid expansion for ARK Survival Ascended, and it could become one of the most ambitious environments the game has ever attempted. Today, we're going to be looking at everything currently confirmed about ARK Atlantis, why Nekatus is such an important choice for this project, and what his previous maps tell us about his design and what this expansion could potentially become. Now, before we go into this, very little content about Atlantis has been officially revealed. We don't have a creature list or a completed map, but something very interesting that we did get told is that the randomly generated islands of Genesis, what was meant to happen, but it has been brought into Atlantis, which is probably one of the biggest things Wildcard has tried. So let's keep our eyes open for that one. If you enjoyed today's video, feel free to drop a like and subscribe, and let's get in with the video. So throughout this video, I'll clearly separate confirmed information from ideas and possibilities based on Necartis' previous work and the direction ARK has recently taken. So Nekatus has confirmed, of course, that he is joining Studio Wildcard as lead level designer for the upcoming Atlantis DLC. He described the role as a massive opportunity to learn even more about level design in ARK to move deeper into game development. This is a significant step, because Nekatus has worked closely with ARK for years, but joining Wildcard directly for Atlantis and at the actual Atlantis map places him inside the official development structure for one of ARK Survival Ascended's future paid expansions. He won't be simply creating a separate community map that might eventually receive official support. He is taking a leadership role in designing a map already positioned as part of ARK's future roadmap. And his history explains exactly why Wildcard would trust him with that responsibility. Nekatus has been involved with Valguero, Fjordur, Svartalfheim, Astraeos, and Bjarnheim. Each of these maps has been developed with its own identity and really has some awesome qualities that connect them all. Nekatus' maps generally place a major emphasis on exploration. They contain dynamic landscapes, hidden regions, caves, ruins, dangerous environments, and locations designed to make players curious about what might exist beyond the next mountain or beneath the surface. Valguero brought together very different environments, including enormous cliffs, underground areas, and its own interpretation of aberration. It gave players several distinct regions within one map and eventually became part of ARK's official map collection. Fjordur expanded that design considerably. Its Norse-inspired world featured multiple realms, enormous caves, hidden locations, varied biomes, and a sense that the playable world extended far beyond the land visible from one beach. Fjordur became one of the most popular free maps in ARK, and its success made Necartis one of the community's most recognizable map creators. Svartalfheim moved in a different direction. Rather than trying to create another standard ARK environment, it focused heavily on dwarven fantasy, carefully constructed ruins, underground spaces, and more deliberate survival experience with no flyers. Astraeos then embraced Greek mythology. The map combined beautiful Mediterranean environments with enormous mythological structures, different islands, boss encounters, new creatures, and an expanding collection of regions. And most recently, Bjarnheim returned to its harsh Nordic setting. Fimbulwinter changes the conditions across the map, custom enemies can threaten players and their bases, and its world has been designed around danger, exploration, and continued expansion. These maps demonstrate that Necartis doesn't only create attractive terrain, he builds environments around a clear theme. The architecture, weather, creature, bosses, and world design are generally connected to mythology or fantasy setting of the map. That could be extremely important for Atlantis because the name alone creates enormous expectations. Atlantis is one of the most famous Lost World legends in human history. It immediately brings to mind a civilization consumed by the ocean, enormous submerged cities, advanced technology, forgotten ruins, and mysteries and mysterious things buried in the water. However, we don't yet know how ARK will interpret that idea. Atlantis could be completely underwater. It could contain a mixture of islands, underwater cities, and deep ocean trenches. Parts of civilization could still remain above the surface, while other areas may have been completely swallowed by the sea. It could even combine natural environments with advanced technology in a way that connects the legend of Atlantis with ARK's science fiction foundations. And for now, those are possibilities rather than confirmed features. What we can say is that Nekatus has extensive experience building worlds inspired by mythology. Fjordur explored Norse mythology, Astraeos explored Greek mythology, Bjarnheim returned to Nordic fantasy with its own sort of harsher identity, and Atlantis provides another setting filled with mythology, mystery, and opportunities for environmental storytelling. And the timing of this announcement is very interesting because, of course, like we mentioned, Astraeos receives its final update on August 26th. That release will actually complete the map's major planned development, and this update is bringing the Boaratos, a fiery frontline creature built around physical strength, fire, and bleeding attacks. Helianthos is expected to expand the playable land with a medium-sized island featuring mountains and open landscapes, and Absanthos has been teased as a new underwater area, giving Astraeos one final opportunity to expand beneath the surface. And the Concavinator also officially joins ARK Survival Ascended on the same day, although that creature is part of the wider base game update rather than exclusively belonging to Astraeos. There are still unanswered questions surrounding the exact scope of the final update and whether every previously planned feature will arrive on schedule, but August 26th represents the end of a major chapter for Necartis. And once Astraeos reaches its final planned form, attention can increasingly move towards Atlantis. And it is reasonable to say that that transition has already begun. Atlantis is on Wildcard's roadmap, and Nekatus has accepted the lead level design role, and a Q1 2027 target leaves a limited development window. That doesn't mean that every part of Astraeos or Bjarnheim or existing projects will suddenly be abandoned. Nekatus has specifically said that working for Wildcard will not change anything about his current mods, and that he intends to continue developing them as before. And that is important for players currently enjoying Bjarnheim, because this map is only partway through its planned development, with additional regions, bosses, caves, and variants, with other content expected to come through future updates. Necartis moving to Atlantis doesn't mean those plans immediately disappear. Instead, his career is expanding from community and premium mod development into a direct role on the Wildcard project. And before we continue into the technology and potential design of Atlantis, I want to quickly mention the LoadedCrysis cluster. So if you're looking for a friendly and active place to play ARK Survival Ascended, our completely free cluster includes every available ASA map, boosted rates, cross-map transfers, regular events, and an active admin team. We added Bjarnheim on day 1 and will be ready for the Astraeos final update on August 26th, and when Atlantis eventually arrives, we intend to continue supporting ARK's newest maps and content. You can join through the Discord link in the description down below. Now let's consider why Atlantis could be arriving at the perfect moment for ARK's technology. So Tides of Fortune introduced much greater focus on ocean gameplay, and players can build and control physical ships, use cannons, upgrade ship skills, and take larger structures across water. Wildcard has also been working on the Genesis Galleon, an enormous ship previously announced with support for more than 300 player-built structures. New technical systems have been planned to increase the number of structures supported by different ship classes by up to 4 times. We don't have confirmation that these mechanics were created specifically for Atlantis, but if you're developing a large expansion inspired by legendary civilization connected with the ocean, ARK's recent investment in ships and different technology underwater becomes extremely relevant. Atlantis could potentially provide the world these systems were built to explore. Imagine traveling between surviving islands before sailing above ruins of a drowned civilization. Imagine moving your tribe's base across the map on an enormous ship, then diving beneath the surface to explore cities, caves and trenches. Imagine hostile ocean creatures attacking from below, while environmental hazards force players to prepare properly before entering deeper regions. Again, none of these specific ideas have been confirmed, but the combination of Atlantis and Necatus' world design and ARK's recent focus on ocean technology creates enormous potential for the game. And one of ARK's long-running weaknesses has of course been its underwater content, and I still believe the Genesis ocean floor was pretty underwhelming. The oceans can be dangerous and contain valuable resources, but many players avoid spending more time underwater than necessary. Movement can feel slower, visibility is limited, and building an aquatic base often requires more preparation than establishing one on land. Genesis Part 1 improved that experience by creating a biome built around the ocean. Tides of Fortune expanded on what players could do on the surface, and Astraeos is experimenting with the new underwater region coming with the final update. Atlantis could bring these different ideas together inside a map designed around the relationship between land, water and lost civilization. And the greatest opportunity would be variety. An entirely underwater map might create accessibility problems for players who dislike the ocean gameplay, but a world combining beautiful surface regions, safe coastal areas, deep underwater environments, ruined cities, and potentially eternal airfield structures could appeal to a much wider audience. Necartis' previous maps demonstrate that he understands how to divide a world into dramatically different regions. And that experience could allow Atlantis to feel several connected adventures rather than one endless ocean. The architecture could become a defining feature. Astraeos already demonstrates Necatus' ability to work with large mythological structures and ruins. Svartalfheim shows his interest in constructed fantasy environments and underground locations, and Atlantis could require both. Some ruins may sit openly on the ocean floor. Others could be hidden inside caves or protected environments. And there could be surviving structures above the water, damaged temples, partially submerged along the coast, or enormous locations players can enter without remaining underwater through the entire experience. And there are also a lot of questions on the creatures, because no exclusive Atlantis creatures have been officially revealed. However, a map of this kind would be pretty obvious to know that the aquatic roster of ARK will expand. The game already contains sharks, whales, giant squids, plesiosaurs, mosasaur, turtles, jellyfish, and several more unusual ocean creatures. Atlantis could introduce something designed specifically for deep exploration, underwater construction, combat, or transportation. It could also reinterpret existing creatures with new variants connected to the map's environment. But until Wildcard or Nekatus reveals something directly, any creature discussion remains a speculation, and the same applies to bosses. It's very exciting Atlantis, and I really believe we are in for an extremely new adventure. Finally, ARK's oceans will get some love to the underground because, I mean, to be honest, like I said earlier, the ocean platforms are great, but the ocean floor of Genesis Part 1 was very underwhelming, and I think combining the beautiful new ocean waves and the new technology with something actually beneath the water is what a lot of us have been waiting for. So if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like, subscribe, let me know what you think about this, and what is going to be the future for Atlantis, and do you think you're going to play this map? See you in the next one.